Welcome back to the channel. I hope everything's been going well. There won't be any video of me today on the video. I needed my webcam in another room and it's still in the other room, and I don't really want to get it at the moment because I still need it in the other room. That being said, you can expect to see my lovely visage in my next video. Anyway, I have enjoyed the books of Piers Anthony quite a bit. I have a number of books from his Xanth series. I have almost every single book in the Incarnations of Immortality series, and I have several books from his Apprentice Adept series. I'm not sure if there's more books in or more series that he's written, but I'm sure there are. Anyway, Piers Anthony, in the Incarnations of Immortality, the series opens with On a Pale Horse. And you can kind of see here the Grim Reaper driving a car. The thing is that the world that we're presented in the Incarnations of Immortality is very similar to our own, with the exception being that magic is involved in the world. There are several incarnations, and they represent one of the primal forces of the universe. They embody it, and in so doing cause that that primal force to act in the world. What I mean by that is, in this first one, we meet Death. Death he's actually a human. He just happens to be the bodily incarnation of Death. And because he is there in that position, Death has the ability, or I shouldn't say has the ability, but Death is able to act on mortals. And I'm probably not explaining that very well. So Death's job is to end people's lives. And I don't mean that in the way that, he's there to kill them, because that's not what Death does. If you've ever read any of the books by Terry Pratchett, Death gets quite offended when it's either stated or implied that he kills people. That's not his job. His job is to end their life. They were killed by something else, and that's the same thing that is going on here. At the beginning of the book, it's weird, but it's the 1980s, and Zane is the main character. He's been unlucky in love and in life, and he decides to commit suicide. In the instant before he pulls the trigger, he sees Death coming towards him, and he kills Death, which is kind of weird, because you would think that the incarnation of Death would be immune to death. I'm debating the stated reason why he's able to kill Death is that in order for Death to be immune to itself, the incarnation of Death needs to be cloaked in the persona of Death, and the previous Death had gotten into complacency, and so was not completely garbed in the mantle of Death when he appeared before Zane, and so he was vulnerable to Death at that point in time. Zane is then visited by the incarnation of Fate, and Fate tells him that the rules in this case are quite clear. The person who kills Death has to take over his job. So Death is Zane then becomes Death and is kind of taught the ropes, shown the ropes by some of the other incarnations. Kronos, the incarnation of time, helps him out quite a bit. But he also gets some information from Gaia, the incarnation of nature. And we encounter a lot of the incarnations at this point in time. The thing is that with the Incarnations of Immortality, we start with On a Pale Horse. So all of this is written about Death and what's going on from his perspective. But we are introduced to the other incarnations, and then in the subsequent books in the series, we are introduced to the other incarnations as well, and the ongoing war between heaven and hell, good and evil. So the thing is that the whole driving impetus behind it, and impetus means driving force. So yeah, I'm over analyzing here. So the impetus behind the book, behind the plot, is that there is a war being fought between heaven and hell, and it's up to Death to meet with the souls who are in conflict. They're neither good enough to make it into heaven nor bad enough to be relegated to hell. And so his job is to meet these souls and help them to figure out and go to the appropriate place. In addition to that, there is this war between heaven and hell that now that Zane is the new Death, the incarnation of evil, Satan in this case, is trying to manipulate Death to give him an advantage in this war between good and evil. And there's a lot more going on than I'm putting in here. I don't want to go too much into detail on what's going on, because while I found this a likable book, I like the story, I like Piers Anthony's writings, it's definitely different from Xanth. Xanth is very much pun heavy, somewhat to its detriment in many cases. There are a lot of convolutions in this story, and in my mind, that's kind of to the story's detriment. I recommend reading it. I enjoyed it, but again, there was a lot to be going on here, maybe too much for this one story, and because of that, there are a number of things that I felt could have been dealt with better than they were. However, still a great book. Quite interesting in kind of the world building, where we have Death here. He is, as you see on the front cover, he's driving a car. That's not to say that Death doesn't ride around on a horse. It's that his horse can change into multiple forms of transportation, whichever Death deems to be the most necessary at that point in time. Does he need to take a passenger? Let's be a car. Does he need to go on the water? Let's be a boat. And so he has the world has this aspect of of technology, but at the same time there is magic. I mean, you can see in the background of the picture here, someone's flying on a magic carpet, and there is a magician that is wrapped up in the plot of the book, and so there is a lot going on with the world building, where we have wizards and magic users of all kinds. We have fairies and we have mystical creatures, but we also have normal humans, and they're going, their day-to-day lives, going to and from work, and it it all exists in this same world. So, like I said, good book. I recommend it. If you have read this one, please let me know your take on the incarnation, on book 1 of the Incarnations of Immortality, on a Pale Horse. If you have enjoyed other works by Piers Anthony, let me know as well. As always, like and subscribe, comment down below, and enjoy what you're reading.